My name is Dr. Stephanie Kappel, and I'm a cosmetic dermatologist based out of Newport Beach, California. And today we're going to be talking about the skin barrier. But before I move on, I just ask that you subscribe and join my YouTube family of dermatology nerds. We talk about science, we talk about skin science, we talk about all the hot topics in dermatology and aesthetics, because aesthetics and cosmetic dermatology is a rapidly evolving field. There's always new technologies, developments, there's always new treatments, new lasers, new skincare products, and I want to keep you guys in the know, and I always want to be authentic and tell you guys the truth. That's why I'm like in my pajamas in my bedroom with the bed in the background, because I do want to keep it authentic, and I don't do any paid partnerships, unlike most dermatologists. Well, I don't want to say that. Not most dermatologists, but I never have. Even when I was fresh out of my residency and had student loans and had these big companies come to me and say, we'll give you 200,000 subscribers and we'll give you X amount of money if you promote our products. I never did that because I wanted the autonomy and the freedom to really just post and talk about treatments or skincare products or active ingredients that I truly believe work and that I see day in and day out giving my patients beautiful results, and that I try myself that I know have worked and given results. So nothing is sponsored, nothing is paid for. I speak freely, and I love that I have the autonomy to do that. So moving forward, let's dive in to talk about the skin barrier. So what is the skin barrier? So you know that the skin is the largest organ on our body, and it protects our body, our internal organs, our tissues, our organs-based systems from the outside world, right? So your skin, which is the integumentary system, if you want to put it in that terms, it basically is the barrier that prevents pathogens from entering the body. Now, pathogens can be bacteria, virus, fungus. It protects us from allergens getting into our systems and igniting an inflammatory or allergic response. It prevents pollutants and toxins from entering our bodies. So the skin is made up of several layers. It's a very complex organ, and it's a fascinating organ, which is why I went to medical school and wanted to become a dermatologist. I've always been completely fascinated about the organization of the skin and the skin cells in and of itself. So it's made up of several layers, and it's basically a barrier that protects us from the outside world, just that. So if you break it down in simplest terms, you have the epidermis, which is the topmost layer of the skin. Then you have the dermis, which is where all the collagen and elastin and all of the proteins that give skin that smooth, beautiful, bouncy texture. And then you have the subcutaneous fat, and then you have muscle and everything else that lays underneath. So the epidermis is the topmost, you can call it like the crust of our skin, the very topmost layer of our skin, which serves as the barrier right above the dermis. Now, when breaking down the epidermis by layers, you have the stratum corneum, which is made up of the corneocytes. They're also referred to in dermatology as the keratinocytes. Cyte, C-Y-T-E, in science just means cells. So you have your keratinocytes because they're cells that make keratin. Keratin is the protein that you find in our skin, our hair, and our nails. They're also referred to as corneocytes because the stratum corneum is the dead skin cell layer that lays on top. So you'll see them interversibly changed: corneocyte, keratinocyte, and basically they're just the skin cells that make up the barrier in the epidermis of the skin. And the whole epidermis is made up of a maturation of these cells that eventually get to the top and form these corneocytes. And that top layer is kind of like the brick and mortar. You'll hear people refer it to the brick and mortar of the skin. You can think of the bricks as the cells, and you think of the mortar as the glue or cement between the cells holding the cells together. Now, the glue or the mortar is made up of three main components. So you have your ceramides, cholesterol, and fatty acids. So basically just lipids. So it's like a lipid glue or cement that holds these bricks or corneocytes, aka keratinocytes, together. Now, when that gets broken down by various factors, which we'll get into, then the barrier gets broken down and things start going into the skin that shouldn't be, and things start coming out of the skin that shouldn't be. The main thing that gets leached out of the skin that can cause barrier disruption and red, dry, peely, itchy, irritated skin is transepidermal water loss. Your barrier is keeping all the water and hydration inside your skin. So when it gets broken down, whether the cells get broken down or the cement gets broken down, then the water starts leaching out of the skin and we start losing water and the skin gets dehydrated. That's referred to as transepidermal water loss. So other things that can get into the skin that we worry about are pollutants, toxins, irritants, allergens, and bacteria, viruses, fungus. So what happens is when those little microbes or irritants or molecules enter the skin, what happens? You have a vehement or very exaggerated inflammatory response. Your immune cells that are always kind of scavengers or kind of like guards that are walking around in the uppermost portion of the skin to kind of surveillance and make sure that nothing's getting into our skin that can cause infection, irritation, or harm us in any way. Your immune system recognizes these irritants, allergens, pollutants, and says, okay, guys, we need to bring in the troops, and your immune system comes, increased blood flow comes to the skin, and all these cytokines and histamine and all these chemokines, which are chemicals that cells use to communicate with one another, all get released, and it's this whole war going on in your skin, and what it presents as is dry, flaky, itchy, irritated, uncomfortable skin. And that is when your barrier gets broken down, and that's the symptom of your barrier getting broken down. So a lot of skin diseases have to do with the breakdown of the skin barrier. And as dermatologists, we study these diseases. So I even have my notes here. Look, I have my little notebook as if I did when I was a medical student. So diseases like immunobolus diseases. There are certain diseases where the adhesions between the cells that hold it together have an autoimmune attack on them. Immunobolus diseases can break down the skin and break down the barrier and wreak havoc on the skin. It could actually be very debilitating and actually life-threatening to some patients who have these unfortunate skin ailments. Eczema, which is a filaggrin mutation. There's various forms of eczema, which is also known as atopic dermatitis, but it's a barrier defect with a breakdown that causes this dry, itchy rash, and they call it the itch that rashes because the more itchy you get, the more it breaks down, and then it lets more allergens and irritants in the skin, and then it's this positive feedback cycle that could be very debilitating for patients. So as dermatologists, we have to learn every key component, every protein, every weight and kilodalton of every protein in the skin and the skin cells. So we learn it to such a degree that when we pull back a little bit and we just look at the barrier for what it is and how to maintain a healthy barrier in our patients, it really starts to make sense. And then we really know what triggers we can avoid to maintain a healthy barrier and what we can do to enhance the strength of our barrier. So for a healthy individual with a healthy barrier, what causes breakdown of our skin barrier? There's various extrinsic and intrinsic factors that can break down the barrier. When I say extrinsic, that means coming from the outside of the body, like temperature, humidity, things that our skin is coming into contact with. And when I say intrinsic, that's things within our body that's happening that can break down our barrier. Stress, different hormone levels, different things that we ingest, or toxins, or things that we have sensitivity to, like gluten and so forth. So when in dry climates with low humidity in the air, this can increase transepidermal water loss and can damage the skin barrier. That's in why really hot, dry climates, your skin will get a little bit more irritated or red, dry, itchy. The opposite is true even if you're in a cold, dry climate and you're exposed to a lot of heaters and evaporation of moisture out of the air that dries out the air and causes our skin to be very itchy and irritated. The humidity and water composition of the atmosphere can break down the skin barrier. So I usually recommend humidifiers, and living in a humid tropical place would be ideal. If someone moves to Hawaii or a tropical climate who has eczema, their eczema will magically go away. In addition, temperature can also affect the skin barrier. So our skin likes to be at a temperature range between 31 and about 33 degrees Celsius. So when you wash your face, or even when you take a shower for the skin on your body, you don't want to take a scalding hot shower, and you don't want to take a shower that's too cold either. You kind of want a tepid, warm water temperature for washing your face or showering. I know it's not ideal and it may not be as much stress relief, but it's great for your skin, and damaging the skin barrier can occur when the temperature is too hot or too low. That's why if you're in like a hot tub or a jacuzzi at a very high temperature, when you get out, your skin can kind of get itchy and irritated. And other extrinsic factors that can affect the skin barrier are a lot of the active ingredients that we use in our skincare products. So vitamin C, vitamin A, AHAs, BHAs, all exfoliants, all these things that we use on a regular basis can sometimes irritate our skin. And if we take the same products that we're used to using and we move to a climate that may be a little bit more dry or less humidity, all of a sudden our skin can't take it when they usually can take it on a regular basis. That's why when we go skiing or snowboarding in the mountains, I take my normal regimen and I have to modify it to where I'm going to be at altitude where the humidity in the air isn't as much because my skin barrier is going to be more sensitive. So it's always important to keep that in mind as well. So I'm not at all saying that you can't use these active ingredients. Hello, I'm a dermatologist. I love these active ingredients. I actually have formulated my own skincare line where we have vitamin C, vitamin A, AHAs, and all of the active ingredients that create healthy, beautiful skin from a cellular level. However, a lot of these active ingredients work by upregulating the activity of the skin cells, increasing cellular renewal, increasing collagen production. You're basically making your skin work out. And it's just like the musculoskeletal system, going to the gym. If you go to the gym and do a really gnarly hard workout and you can't walk the next day, that's not the goal. If you do a workout that's going to increase your muscle growth and activity, you're going to be a little bit sore the next day, but you recover, and then the next time you go to the gym, you're stronger and you don't get as sore as you did the first time. The skin cells behave in the same way. So using too much, too fast, too irritating active ingredients, even active ingredients that could be overall beneficial for your skin, if you do too hard, too fast, too much, it can break down your skin barrier and you're like 5 steps backward, 2 steps forward. So even when I counsel my patients who want to start a vitamin A derivative, say they want to start on a retin A, I always just say just use a small amount and titrate up as tolerated, because yes, if overuse of a retinoic acid or retin A or retinaldehyde, not so much retinaldehyde because that's a little bit more mild, but if you're going to use a very potent vitamin A derivative like tretinoin, you want to start at a very small percent. You want to mix it with some type of hydrator that can actually calm and soothe the skin, which won't decrease the efficacy of the active ingredient, but it will not damage the barrier, because using too much of a product, whether it's vitamin C, vitamin A, alpha hydroxy acid, like a glycolic acid or lactic acid, will strip the barrier and damage the barrier, and that's not the goal. If you work up slowly and you titrate up and you're adding in one active ingredient at a time, then that's the best, because you're getting the skin benefits. You're kind of stimulating your cells to act and behave younger and to work more optimally, but you're not like dousing it and overstimulating your skin to where your barrier gets disrupted. So like anything in life, it's a happy medium and it's all about moderation. You need to titrate up, go slow, add one active ingredient at a time, but not be over exfoliating and doing layering of all these products all at once, because that will definitely for sure strip down your barrier and break it down, and that's not the goal. But I also want to stop the misconception where people say, okay, tretinoin's bad, vitamin C's bad, it breaks down your barrier, it irritates my skin, I can't use it, because that's equivalent to somebody going to the gym saying, I can't go back to the gym, I got sore, my muscles didn't like it, and I don't want to be sore. You have to work yourself up to it and just do it in moderation. So although overuse and inefficient or inaccurate use of a product can break down the barrier, when used as directed and appropriately, it can actually strengthen the barrier. And there's numerous overwhelming research and data that shows that the active ingredients that we use in skincare products, antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin A derivatives, and alpha hydroxy acids, will help strengthen the barrier to protect our skin while making it look younger, more vibrant, and more alive. So now looking at other extrinsic factors that can affect the skin, irritants, what we just talked about before, temperature, humidity, traumatization. So exfoliating way too much can traumatize the skin. I'm a laser specialist, even doing too much laser at once, or combining a laser with a peel, which a lot of my plastic surgeon colleagues like to do. Sometimes it's just too much. So again, everything in moderation. Doing a resurfacing laser every couple months, absolutely, that's great for your skin. But doing too much in one sitting, or combining it with a peel, or using retin A right up until the day before your laser, it will be too much and will break down the barrier. That's why before people have a Fraxel treatment or some type of laser resurfacing, dermatologists, including myself, will say, hold off from your retin A about 5 days before your laser treatment. And keep in mind that everybody's skin's different. So I think it's probably very frustrating for people to get on YouTube and they see a bunch of dermatologists or, a bunch of skin experts saying that you should absolutely exfoliate every day, you should never exfoliate. Some say exfoliate twice a week. The key is that what works for one person may not work for someone else. And I say this almost in every video. Everybody's skin is different. We're all different. Even people within the same family have different skin thicknesses, different phenotypic traits of their skin that make them maybe more susceptible to irritation or barrier breakdown than others. So if somebody gets on YouTube and they're like, exfoliate twice a week and that's it, maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't. I actually exfoliate my skin every morning, and I do it with a mechanical exfoliant, and it's not too much. It's a pretty gentle exfoliating polish. It's the one by Zio, and I do it every morning, and my skin handles it fine. And when I don't do that, my pores get clogged, and I feel that I have this dull, listless, dry skin that loses its vitality. So for me, that works. But for my patients, I say maybe do it twice a week, exfoliate twice a week, and see, what works for you. Now, you may only be able to do it once a week, or maybe you like to use a chemical exfoliant, which I use that too. So I use, alpha hydroxy acids, vitamin C's, and I use chemical exfoliants as well. The alpha red peel pads by Skin Better Science. I can get on a whole tangent with that. But I think it's most important to just find your homeostasis, find your skin's balance that responds to whatever exfoliating regimen, or not even exfoliating at all, is best for you and for your skin. But exfoliating and over exfoliating can definitely break down the barrier if you're doing too much of it. So now let's talk about intrinsic. So from inside the body, things that can break down our skin barrier. Stress and lack of sleep, which increase your cortisol levels. Cortisol is horrible for your skin, can break down your barrier. So meditate, do yoga, de-stress, good sleep, and keep the cortisol levels down. Different nutritional deficiencies can also cause skin breakdown of the barrier. So keeping up on your antioxidants, getting your vitamins and minerals, and eating healthy will really have an effect on your skin. Eating healthy fatty acids, omega-3s, and all the fats and lipids, the healthy fats and lipids that your skin needs to provide that brick and mortar barrier in the skin. Things like gluten sensitivity and limiting the amount of things that you're sensitive to or allergic to, getting your allergies tested, seeing what your body is not tolerating very well or what it's insensitive to, can actually have remarkable results in your skin by just modifying your diet and eating healthy and eating clean. I did a whole YouTube video earlier on nutrients and vitamins and minerals and foods that can create healthy skin as well. And then last but not least, hydration status. Maintaining adequate hydration. I try to drink 2 liters of water a day. I try to get through 1 liter by noon or lunchtime when I'm in the office seeing patients. And if I haven't, I just down as much water as I can to finish it, and then I refill it and have to get through that 2nd liter by the time I go to bed. But your hydration status has a remarkable effect on your skin, your overall skin health, and your skin barrier as well. And other things that you can do to prevent barrier breakdown of the skin is, we already talked about avoiding over-exfoliating, using cleansers that are not too alkaline. Remember how we talked about the pH of the lipid barrier and the acid mantle? Your skin wants to be at a certain pH, about 5.7. Now there's a variant range between there, but it's usually more on the acidic side. And the reason for that is that's how your skin keeps bacteria, viruses, pathogens, and all of these microbes out of the body, because it has such a acidic pH. So when you're using products that are alkaline or a higher pH or more basic, then it can disrupt the barrier, and that's what we mean by the acid mantle. So using non-foaming, non-alkaline cleansers can help maintain your barrier, not over-exfoliating, and then also avoiding topical steroids. Now, dermatologists often give topical steroids for skin disease, psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, and a lot of autoimmune inflammatory dermatoses. However, on your face, you want to avoid steroids as much as you can. There's also non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents that your dermatologist can prescribe for you if you do have a condition that requires a steroid use on the face. But steroids in and of themselves will break down the skin barrier, so they should be avoided. So what do we do if our barrier gets broken down? So the ways to correct the barrier: tincture of thyme will always cure a broken barrier. So relieving your skin of whatever insult it was that caused disruption of the barrier in the first place is most important. So if it was over exfoliating, if it was using too much tretinoin, if it was a different climate, not drinking enough water, being too stressed out, just try to control whatever the cause of the barrier disruption was. And just remember, just pull back, don't over exfoliate, don't overwash, use a lower pH for your non-alkaline cleansers. Drink a lot of water and just hydrate. Hydrating your skin will restore your barrier naturally. Your cell cycle renewal process will restore itself, but you just have to give your skin the adequate hydration to do so. So ceramides, humectants, glycosaminoglycans, glycerin, petrolatum, all of these things are going to increase water absorption in the skin and minimize transepidermal water loss, will restore your barrier. So I know the next question is, well, Dr. Capel, what are the best, ceramides or the best humectants to use? And that's all depends on what your preference is. Now, of course, medical grade, I engineered MD Air, which is my skin line, which is next level in technology, and I have a NMF hydrator. And Elastin is another great medical grade company that has Nectar. That's a very restorative repair based serum. And there's Trio by Skin Better Science. There's HA5 by Skin Medica. But there's also the drugstore humectants and hydrators that are great too. Neutrogena Hydro Boost, the colloidal oatmeal and Aveeno. Now remember, I am not a paid sponsorship by any of these companies. I don't get paid by any of these companies. So this is just what I've seen after practicing dermatology for 15 years. CeraVe cream, Cetaphil cream, Vanaply or Vanacream. These are all great hydrators and barrier restorative creams that you could get at a better price point if you don't want medical grade. But the key thing to remember is that your barrier will restore itself, and the most common cause of a barrier disruption is overuse or overzealous use of an active ingredient that can usually be beneficial to your skin. So whenever adding a new active ingredient, do one ingredient at a time, and slow and steady wins the race. And that is my take-home point for today. I hope this makes sense. I hope this wasn't too scientific. Drop a comment and let me know if you like this type of pace and you like this type of scientific kind of breakdown of the skin barrier and the epidermis, and I'll get as scientific as you want, or I'll pull back as much as you guys want. So be sure to subscribe, as I'm going to drop a different video every Sunday for you guys. And whether I'm in the comfort of my own home with my kids running around, thankfully they didn't disrupt us this time, or if I'm in the office after seeing patients with lasers in the background, I'll always drop a video for you guys because I love sharing this information with my derm community. So hit the bell so you get notifications of when a new video drops, and I'll see you guys next time.